Hi, my name is Kiana. I'm a tasty producer, and today I'm going to show you how to be a better baker. Pies are such a fun, simple way to be creative. You have a crust and you fill it with generally fruit that has a little bit of sugar, a little bit of spice, so you kind of have a blank canvas to decorate it however you want. You don't have to be a professional to do it. Pie decorating can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. Even if you don't have proper tools, you can use the most random items in your kitchen. When you're trying to customize and make your pie look like your own, you really can use anything that's available to you. Use whatever tools you have in your kitchen to customize and make it your own. I think the fun thing about baking is that most desserts have different components. So when you're cooking with other people, everyone can kind of take charge of a section of that. So if you're making a pie, one person can tackle the crust. Maybe another person can tackle the filling. For example, my sister is into spices, so she will raid the cabinet and put a little bit of this, a little bit of that in there. So I can pay more attention to making the crust. So you're in the kitchen, you're baking together, but everyone has a piece they can put their own personal flair and personality to, and they'll all get baked together into like one cool little product, but everyone have their hands in it. I haven't lived in my hometown in over 10 years, so anytime I go back home, my family immediately requests a pie from me. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday, they're like, we want apple pie, period. So even though they're asking for the exact same thing, time after time again, it's a fun, creative challenge of how do I take the exact same ingredients but make it new where everyone is still like, whoa, we've never seen that before. Customizing decoration is a huge part of it. There's so many ways of transforming a familiar dish so that excitement never fades. Very few people in my family bake. Even to this day, when I return home for any holiday, I am working with bare minimum equipment. When I'm cooking with my family, I am always trying to get creative and make desserts with what we already have. So I'm like, all right, how can I make dessert for this dinner without cluttering the family kitchen with things that they aren't going to use all the time? It's so easy to say, I want to get into baking and then buy all of this stuff. But really, you can make dessert with a lot fewer things than you need. You can get creative with what you already have around the house. There's so many ways you can present your dish, and it doesn't always have to be exactly as a recipe told you. I've always viewed a recipe as a piece of inspiration or kind of an overview guideline of what to do, but then the real joy of home cooking is that it's your kitchen, it's your rules, you can do what you want. If it says put 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and you don't like cinnamon, put something else in there. There's a lot of room to customize and make your desserts a lot more creative and unique, which is what people are going to respond to when you put it in front of them, because it's going to be different from what you can buy from your grocery store. And you have more control over what you're making and can make it fit to the occasion better. There's this whole world of how you visually present what you're making that really can transition you into a whole different realm of challenging like what the tried and true is, and you can really get creative. And so a dessert that I made that was more of a challenge was making a Charlotte Royale. It is a old school English cake. When I'm making stuff at home, I want to make things that I want to eat. That means seeing this really classic recipe, but switching out the parts that I wish I could have it as, I could never buy. So with the Charlotte Royale I made, I am a huge fan of cheesecake. It is one of my favorite types of dessert, and I decided to fill the Charlotte Royale with cheesecake instead of Bavarian cream because I think what you're making should excite you. So even though it was by the book one way, when you're cooking for yourself and for your friends, you want to make it tailored to your audience and make it how you're going to enjoy it. Cake making has a lot more moving parts that can go a little bit more wrong once you know what makes a great cake batter, what makes a great icing. You can start playing around with how you present that, and you can change the shape and decorate it really cool and pretty. With anything, practice makes perfect. So when you're making that batter, you want to make sure at no point are you overworking that batter. A big mistake you can make is wanting to have the batter look nice and smooth and like luxurious, where to make a really great cake batter, you want it to be just combined so that everything is there. Otherwise, if you're overworking it, you're actually gonna make a really tough cake. It's always great having that moment where you put that thing you spent all afternoon making on a table in front of people and getting that wow reaction. You want to see people excited. To make a beautiful dessert, it's not about doing the most complicated thing. The recipe itself can be very simple. It's how you customize it and stylize it just by putting your own personality into it and getting creative. With cake making, you generally have multiple components, and to make sure in the end you end up with a beautiful cake, you really have to pay attention to every element and take your time. You're never being too overambitious with any step. So if there is a part that you're maybe not as comfortable with, take a shortcut, make it simpler. You don't need every element of what you're doing to be brand new to you. So to make something different that people may have not seen before, I decided to do this rippled ombre effect, borrowing inspiration from another type of cake called a zebra cake. Each color pushes out the previous, creating this nice ripple effect. But instead of having two colors back and forth with tiny quantities, I decided to do 4 shades of brown to white. So it took something that people are very familiar with, a chocolate cheesecake, snow bake, you can whip it up in 10 minutes, and through customizing it, turn it into a very beautiful and unique dessert. There's so many things that can go wrong while baking. You can crack your cheesecake, or maybe you forgot to spray your cake and it will not come out the pan, or you overbaked your cookies and they are hard as a brick. Don't worry about it, you can salvage it and get a little creative to make something new and can still have a really great dessert in the end. I think it's really important to know that just because something didn't turn out as you intended does not mean it's always a lost cause. You can always repurpose what you've already made and make another really cool dessert out of it, or sometimes you can even fix it and cover up your mistake. When looking at a recipe to make, the first thing you do is figure out what part is science and what part is flavor. The science, I'm not messing with. I'm not messing with how it's gonna rise or structurally work. But with the flavor, that's when it becomes customizable. When you're making things in your own kitchen, your imagination has no limit. You can put whatever ingredients you want. You can make it shaped however you want. It really is a reflection of your personality or what you did that day. Like if you went to the farmer's market and saw beautiful strawberries, you're gonna use them. And it's putting a lot more of yourself into the food than you'd actually expect it to. Baking is inherently a celebratory food. Every occasion we have in life usually has an accompanied dessert. It's generally for something or for someone. And I think there's nothing more awkward or fearful than putting something in front of someone that you're like, hey, I'm expecting you to eat this. And in their mind, they're like, ooh, I don't want to eat that. How can I pretend that I like it? It's always a goal to put something in front of people that they're like genuinely excited to try. When you're baking for other people, when you present it to them, there's so much appreciation that comes into that, even though it might not be perfect every time, especially when you're starting to bake out. But when you take time and effort to make things for the people that you care about, it does not go unnoticed. And you have a secondary reward that you get to make things for people, but then after that, you get to share it with them as well. And you get to sit down with your friends, sit down with your family, over the food you've just made for them, enjoy each other's company, have the laughs, blow out the candles, and just have a good time. Even when you're baking, yes, stuff can go wrong. It might not be exactly as you envisioned it, and it can't be perfect all the time. But when you're baking for other people, they're gonna appreciate that you took the time, put the energy into making something really special for them. And that's always nice, to share food with other people that you care about.
Oh, yes!